Hey viewers, I'm working on this bike. It's got RockShox Metro forks on there, and they're kind of stiff, not moving real smoothly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them apart, clean them, lube them, and put them back together, show you the whole process of doing that. Start off by removing the front wheel. Next I want to remove these brakes, get them out of the way. So now I'm ready to remove the caps on here. Notice that only the left side has a preload adjuster on it. The right side does not. And I'm going to be using a 24 millimeter 6-point socket. I like to use 6-point sockets when I'm removing like the plastic caps on these. I think less chance to round them off than like a 12-point socket would. And so put this on here and just start unscrewing this. And once I kind of get it broken loose, I can usually just unscrew it by hand. It's a little bit easier than using the wrench. Pull that off. And got that off. And so now I'm going to go ahead and compress the forks, and unfortunately this stack does not come all the way out here. It comes right up the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dental pick with like a little hook on it, going to reach down beside it and kind of grab it and carefully pull it and pull this stack out. And oh man, it is really dirty, and so that and kind of just grungy in there. So that is probably why this fork was not moving really smoothly. So it's like, ugh. I'll get it all cleaned up. It'll probably work much better. Okay, so now I'm ready to remove the lowers. On the bottom of each lower, there's a bolt, and that takes a 6 millimeter hex wrench there. So what I need to do is loosen those, but I need to hold the part that they attach to on the inside. And that takes a 12 millimeter hex fitting here, and I have an extension. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down inside, get it locked into place, and I can hold that with my wrench. So then I'm going to use this to unscrew the part on the bottom here and remove this bolt. There's one bolt out, and there's water on it, so not a great sign. And do this side, get this locked into place there, wrench on. And unscrew this. And that is out. So now I should be able to just push these lowers off like that. Yeah, like water and dirt and grit got in there. So I'll get this all cleaned up, and this fork will work much better, I think. So next I want to remove these plungers. I'm going to push them out through the top. I have like a long rod here. It's used for like cleaning shotguns, I think. I got it at a garage sale, but it works great. And so I can just kind of push this up and out like this. And so I have these out. And there's still a rubber bumper here down in the lower here, so I want to try to get this pulled out. So I have like a piece of wire coat hanger. So I'm going to try to hook this and carefully pull this out, and got that out. And there's another rubber bumper hiding down the other fork leg here. So I'll get my coat hanger down, go through the middle of it, hook it, and pull it out. I'm going to have to guide it past the bushings in there. Get it? And got it out as well. And then I want to slide these boots off, and I'll clean these up as well. Okay, so now that I have everything disassembled, I'm ready to start cleaning up all the parts. What I'm going to be using is just some dollar store degreaser and a scrub brush, and I'll get most of the stuff clean. To get the inside of the tubes, I'm going to be using a tube brush, or I can use a bit of rag on the end of a coat hanger to be pushing it in and out and get the inside of the tubes all scrubbed up. And then we'll get ready to put it back together. Well, as I was cleaning the inside of these fork tubes here, I found a piece that I had missed. Hiding under some dirt and grease at the bottom of this fork tube was a small piece of spring there. I managed to fish it out using the coat hanger. So now I have all the pieces out. Well, I got the parts all cleaned up. I pretty much just used a scrub brush, degreaser, soap and water, and they came out pretty nicely. One exception was this plunger here. It had some rust spots on it, so I used that wire wheel to clean this up a bit. But everything looks good, so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting it back together. Now, to lube the fork, I'm going to be using Slickoleum, also known as Slick Honey. You can also use like Judy Butter, SRAM Butter. Use a grease especially made to be used inside suspension forks. If you use a grease not made for suspension forks, it's not going to perform as well and could actually damage the plastic rubber parts inside the fork. Okay, I'm going to start off by installing this small spring that came out of this leg here. I'm going to put a little bit of the grease around on the spring like this, and then drop this into place. And then next I have the plungers, so I'm also going to rub a little bit of grease onto these as well. And then I'll drop these into place. And now these rubber bumpers here, and I'm going to rub some grease onto these as well. And these are tapered, so the small end will face downward. So I can just slide these on like this. So next I want to put the fork boots on. You want to remember to do this before you install the lowers. This little tab here lines up with a little slot in the back of the crown there. So it just slides up here into place. And then do the other one over here. Just like that. And so now I want to put just a very thin coating of grease around these fork legs. So now before I install the lowers, I want to put some grease down in there. There's some metal sleeves that go down to maybe around here. So I want to kind of reach down as far as I can and just rub the grease around on the inside of that metal sleeve. And don't worry, as the fork goes on there, the lower goes on there, it'll push down all along there, but get a good coating on there as much as you can. And do it on both sides. And then I also want to get some grease around on the inside of this little reservoir on this wiper here, just below there. Just get some grease down around inside there and on both sides. And then I'm ready to slide the lowers on. Make sure the brake bosses are facing forward. And then just pull them all the way up like that. So I'm ready to put the bolts back in the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 12mm socket on my extension, drop this back down in here to hold the plunger to keep that from turning in there. And get my wrench on here. And I have one of the bolts. I'm going to put some blue Loctite on here. Just a little bit. Then I'll insert the bolt up in through the hole in the bottom and start tightening that in. And then use my 6mm wrench to start tightening that in. And get it tight, like that. And same thing on the other side. I'll drop my socket and extension down there to hold the plunger in place. Again, put some blue Loctite on the bolt there. And then slide this up into the hole on the bottom and get it started into the plunger. And get my 6mm Allen wrench on there and tighten it in. Like that. So now I can go ahead and push the lowers down. And I'm ready to install the stack. So what I'm going to do is, again, take some grease and coat this with grease. Make sure you get like on this little plastic part down in here, on the bottom, and get a good coating of grease all over the spring and all over all the plastic parts on here. And then I'm gonna drop this in, and I want the plastic part here down. That'll go against the plunger. And I'm ready to install the adjuster cap, and that'll go on this side. They have the stack in there, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of the grease around on here and down on the bottom, and put this in. And I'll start threading this in by hand. I'll have to push it down in order to get into engage with the threads. And there it is. Make sure you don't cross thread it. It's plastic, so be really easy to do. And then I've got my 24mm socket on here, and I'll use this to tighten it in. Like this, and don't over tighten it. It's a plastic and you'll strip that out real easily. And then I have the cap for the other side. Again, I'm going to start in by hand. I'm going to tighten it on just a little bit. Like that. And reattach the brakes here. Remount the front wheel. And done. And they're moving much more smoothly than they did before, which is not a surprise considering how bad they were on the inside. But they're nice and clean, lubed now, and moving much more smoothly. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you found this video useful or interesting. If you did, please give my video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button down there and be sure to click the bell so you get notified when new videos come out. I'm over on Facebook, RJ the Bike Guy. Join me over there. I post a lot of stuff over there that I don't post on YouTube. I think it's a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching.